They called it Subject 06 at first, a mottled thing no bigger than a refrigerator, wrapped in straps and luminescent sensors that pulsed like a nervous city. The Sefer Collective had plucked it from a pale moon where the ice dissolved into glass and had brought it to the laboratories of Orbital Complex Lysander with the clinical distance of gods doing a minor experiment. The alien scientists took notes in fractal glyphs and argued in high, precise tones. The machines hummed in registers humans could not hear. To the Sefer, Subject 06 was data, an object to be bent until it told them a secret. To the humans working the ward, it was a breathing thing. No one on the medical roster wanted the assignment. Lysander's xenobiology wing had become a theater of cruelty in the collective's long campaign of curiosity. New species arrived like parcels, stunned, catalogued, and stripped of context. Many of the humans who tended them had learned the art of looking away, the easier morality, but Mara did not look away. Mara had been recruited to Lysander after the Verdant uprisings, when Earth's embassies chose people who'd lost everything to be placed where loss could be studied. She'd been a field medic once, and she still moved with the impatient, exacting hands of someone who saved lives with a knife and a prayer. On the day Subject 06 arrived, Mara stood at the glass of the observation gallery and watched the creature for a long time. It watched back. Subject 06's eyes were not eyes in a human sense. They were a ring of reflective plates that unfolded like a flower. They tracked Mara's small, skewed reflection and, over hours, settled into a wary curiosity. When she learned its real name, a sound like wind over metal that the Sefer translated clumsily as Eshri, she found herself saying it under her breath while she scrubbed instruments. What set the Sefer apart from the humans, Mara realized in the first week, was method. The aliens dissected not for malice, but for patterns. They would immerse Eshri in light that shifted its perception, reroute its neural pulses through devices, ask it to remember things it could not. They were careful, in a way, and yet their care had the iron taste of inevitability. Tests began benign. Watches, temperature probes, recordings of the creature's vocalizations. The first time a Sefer scientist attached electrodes to Eshri's skin and asked it to recall the moon it came from, the creature hummed a tone that made the lights in the observation corridor flicker. The researchers applauded. That night, in the warm, fluorescent quiet of the ward, Eshri shivered, and human nurse, a girl named Anil who never quite masked her hunger and homesickness, sat by the enclosure and sang to it in a language the creature could not possibly know. The melody stopped the creature's tremor. The tests escalated. They introduced smells that had never existed on Eshri's moon, a synthetic spice that mimicked rust and lilies, and a scent like old paper. They trained it to push small weighted levers for food, then accelerated the weight until it flinched. They projected memories onto a screen, the frozen plains of its home, a nest the size of a house, the faces of other things it recognized. Some tests were meant to teach. Others, Mara suspected, were meant to strip. Mara kept a log separate from the Sefer metrics. She recorded the small things, Eshri's preference for damp corners, the way it held two small stones in what passed for its hands when it wanted comfort, how it flinched at the smell of ozone because the first experiment one beam had singed its side. In private, Mara taught herself the cadence of its breathing and tried to imagine what freedom might mean for an animal from a glass moon whose sky had been a continent of light. The shift in the ward came suddenly. The Sefer Command sent new equipment, a cage of blue filaments that could compress and freeze, and a diagnostic suite called the Ephor that could map thought. "We will map its associative lattice," one of the Sefer explained to the humans, his voice like a chime. "We will know the curves of its memory. We will learn the algorithm of its fear." Mara's log became a ledger of protests. She wrote, in small cramped text, that Eshri had not consented to the effort, that its vocalizations when the filaments hummed were not the same as its normal calls. Anil tore out pages and slipped them into her pocket. The wing manager, a human appointed by the collective and paid in privileges, told them to stop writing things that made the Sefer uncomfortable. So they did the experiments anyway. What the Sefer could not foresee was the stubbornness of a thing that had been wronged enough times to learn cunning. Eshri studied the patterns of the filaments. It learned the times when the guard's feet shuffled and when the doors clicked. It learned to speak in little puffs of its breath that carried faint harmonic frequencies, which the Ephor translated incorrectly as stress. It learned to make small, deliberate mistakes in the tasks the researchers set before it.